Good news, everyone. Goth Metal Lore now has its own playlist. We have 17 entries here from Masters of the Universe movie by Paul Gerard to King Randor and Hordak, Panos Cosmatos movies, Psycho Goreman, Wizards, Texas Chainsaw Massacre board game, Gears of War poster, Blackwater Gospel, all the way to Gears of War Eve. So stop by and you'll find all 17 entries, except there's an 18th entry coming up next.
Awaken. The fear is reborn. Have returned. Time to play.
Oh, shit.
Hellraiser 2. Brace yourself for terror you have never imagined. And your suffering will be legendary even in hell. You can never escape.
Hey, looks like the family's all here. Oh, man, what a movie this was. So, yeah, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. So, welcome back to Goth Metal Lore. Yes, I did add a playlist, and we have now 18 entries. I've included some from that were not originally part of this, but they all fit now because we got art, we got some music, we got some video game, we got some maybe comic books, and then TV shows, movies. Hannibal kind of comes close, doesn't it? But yeah, this is my first time watching a Hellraiser movie. Now, we imagine what hell would look like, and I think with Paul Gerard's and Mike Lahan, we would have seen a much more detailed hell with some CGI, but some big elaborate sets, the meat grinders and all that stuff. But all we got for this one is a big old maze, and I think that's all you could do. I mean, I'm not sure, like, with the popularity of Labyrinth, I think Labyrinth, Jim Henson's Labyrinth influenced this movie because you get that Labyrinth feeling. There is gore to be found, and to be fair, most of it comes out of the first movie into the second one. So already you're introduced to gore in the first, minute or two for this movie. You just can't get enough. You just can't get enough. So this is a 1988 movie. I thought it was much earlier, but I think the original one was much earlier. 1988. There weren't too many memorable movies. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was the big one. So if you didn't see Roger Rabbit, you saw Willow, which was the George Lucas produced one. And if you saw neither one, you saw this one. So, I don't know. I think there was Purple Leader. One-Eyed Purple Leader was a movie, kids movie that didn't have a long standing in... Now I'm just thinking, I'm thinking about 1988. They made an Etch-a-Sketch animator. It was like a dot matrix Game Boy, like a Texas Instruments 100 thing. You made animation with, oh my God. To get a hold of that thing, I've always wanted that since I was 10. Anyway, I'm going back in time. But the gore and blood in Hellraiser 2. So, you got Ashley Lawrence, and you've got Claire Higgins. Claire Higgins is the woman who comes back from hell. Ashley Lawrence is sort of the hero. And we haven't seen her in a long time in movies. We got a bunch of different actors. Let's see all the actors in this. There's Ashley Lawrence. We got Claire Higgins. She's the woman of the night from hell. Doug Bradley is Pinhead. We love Pinhead. Imogen Boorman as Tiffany. She's gotten much older. Kenneth Grahame as the Doctor. Is that the old Doctor? Really? I don't really know. Kyle McRae, William Hope. Let's see. Barbara Wild. God, there's different people here. Clive Barker, story by Clive Barker, directed by Tony Randall. Not to be confused by the Odd Couple's Tony Randall. That's Randall. Let's see if we can have some Wikipedia fun facts in here. Let's see if we can find something. Okay, so we got some fun trivia here, whether or not this is true. Originally, there was going to be an extra scene during the ending when Christy and Tiffany are running from Channard. So Kirsty, like Kirstie Alley, is the blonde girl who solves puzzles in the sanitarium. So basically, the Ashley Lawrence character, Tiffany from the first movie, I'm guessing, because I have not seen Hellraiser 1. I've only seen Hellraiser 2. Um, she's in a sanitarium after the events of Hellraiser 1. And so there's this stupid doctor that gets. There's two doctors. One's an evil doctor that turns into one of the pinhead like priests. And then you got the other guy who gets killed right away. He's like a Chad. He's Chadley from Final Fantasy. Anyway, so Kirsty and Tiffany are running from Channard. The scene was planned so that during their escape, the duo run into a doctor and nurse. The doctor demands to know what they are doing. Kirsty backs away in horror when suddenly the doctor and nurse turn into Pinhead and the female Cenobite. Okay, so that's the female Cenobite would be Claire Higgins. Before she and Tiffany continue running, the scene was filmed but was ultimately dropped from the final cut for two reasons. One was because the filmmakers thought that having actor Doug Bradley as a normal doctor would confuse the viewers. And another was because the special effects for the scene was turned out poorly, so it's decided to discard it altogether. However, a photographer who was on set took some photos of Pinhead and the female Cenobite dressed as surgeons, which were used for promotion of the film, and were also used on some VHS DVD covers for the movie, confusing fans and starting rumors about an infamous deleted surgery scene. Oh, the old days when we used to see. I remember the scene from Star Trek Generations when Captain Kirk was in the silver parachute suit, the jump gear, and I would see pictures of it in magazines, and I would never know for decades what that scene looked like. And I finally saw it on YouTube. Maybe it was in a DVD set, but I never saw it for years. Some trailers were a few shots from this unfinished scene, as well as parts of another deleted scene with Chatterer stopping the elevator with his hand and jumping at Kirsty and Tiffany. The lost scene was eventually discovered on a VHS work print and announces an extra for Arrow Video's Blu-ray release of the first three films in the series. Another scene that was filmed but then deleted, Kirsty and Tiffany being chased by the creature known as the Engineer from the first Hellraiser movie. British Shakespearean Kenneth Cram, who plays Shannon, claimed his involvement. Oh, well, this is some interesting shite. Skinless Frank is in the original due to his skinny frame. Yeah, there was some really sick shit. You see a guy turning into Pinhead in the beginning of this movie. Alternate screenplay. There was going to be an alternate script with Kirsty's father, Larry, exists. So Kirsty's mother was, I don't know what happened to the mother. You see her kidnapped by the doctor, and then she became a mute for most of the movie, and then the last scene shows the Kirsty and Tiffany kind of walking out towards the sort of hedge maze with tall trees, which is kind of psychotic looking, a different kind of hell. But anyway, Dr. Shannon was originally Dr. Malahide, but this was changed by the director. The Sutton did not return to as his character, was finished anyway. Andrew Robinson. Peter Atkins said so much stuff in here. Hellbound was originally rated X by the Motion Picture Association of America, which would have limited to those 17 and older. Barker attributed this to preferring explicit displays of grotesque rather than hinting at it. Yeah, there was a lot of... Let me tell you, this is not for little kids. It would be NC-17 today, but yeah, there's some shit. I mean, what was the movie rated? Is there a rating that they show you? Rated something? I'm guessing it's rated R, right? But yeah, we got to call it rated X. Holy shit, critical response. Let me see. 53%. 53%. 5.6 out of 10. Yeah, but it's a 41. It got a 41 out of 100. Roger Ebert described it as some kind of avant-garde film strip in which there is no beginning, no middle, no end, but simply a series of gruesome images that can be watched in any order. Karen James of the New York Times wished for more plot and less silly effects. What? Ogling strange creatures is the film's reason for being. In a more positive review, Chris Woolman of the Los Angeles Times called it faster and campier than its predecessor, more of an action-adventure picture this time around. It's still an exceptionally grisly one. I don't know what everybody's talking about. This had everything a movie in hell could ask for, even more than that. Even more. Much more than that. I mean, it's It's pretty clear. Okay, so Tiffany's trying to get her father back from hell, but the father sacrifices himself. He's the main. Her father turned into another pin. So basically, what happens is, if you discover the puzzle box, which I don't know what it's called, I'm sure there's a proper name for it. I forgot what it's called. So it's a little puzzle box, and you twist and turn it until it transforms into a pinhead and sends you to hell. That's what happened to the doctor for this movie. Claire Higgins is the woman that comes out of hell. She turns human. It's there's like an invisible woman type scene. She's wrapped in bandages. Just all kinds of gross shit that happens. But it's a fun ride. It's just, and then meanwhile she's got so she tells the backstory about how her step her so basically her mom cheated on her dad with Frank, her stepfather, who's a pervert, and so Frank is blown up. There's all kinds of weird shit that happens. It's a lot of fun. I really had fun watching this. Um, I mean, I don't agree with Roger Ebert. You don't watch it in any particular order. I mean, the purpose is to go through hell, try to sort out the problem, and get the fuck out of there. That's pretty much it. I mean, I don't see how it has to be more sensible than that. I mean, you go through hell, you deal with the hell, and then you get the fuck out of there. That's it. Um, the doctor stays. I mean, I like the part where the doctor's kind of ripped in half. His head is just ripped off. There's a lot of gory shit. I wish hell had a bit more than just that weird Jim Henson's labyrinth, but that's what we got. You had this sort of diamond, this weird diamond in the sky that shoots out black matter, and let's see these guys a little bit better. So yeah, I mean these are the four horsemen here of the apocalypse, and that's supposed to be her father in the middle. But yeah, he sacrifices himself. So all these four creatures were actually human beings that were turned into pinheads, and uh, so yeah, there's some gruesome shit that happens. I mean, a lot of tearing people apart. This is a hard movie, and keep in mind there is no CGI work here. Everything is practical effects or paintings. Keep in mind, you owe it to I even in here. Let me see if I can find it because I have it here. All right, cross your eyes, everybody. Now, this is the image that you see. I think this is the image that you see in the doctor's office. It's an Escher painting that is in this movie. So, if you cross your eyes, you can see the 3D image. There it is. There it is. Yeah, it's a cool image. So yeah, so you get this weird sense of reality. The Escher paintings is meant to mimic what hell is like. This giant painting, and you look at that and Citizen Kane, because Citizen Kane had made up large sets that could never be built. So when uh, when Claire Higgins walks around hell, it's a bunch of weird platforms with a bunch of bottomless pits in each one. So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's this weird ending where I guess Tiffany kills the doctor, but that the doctor, well, she killed the doctor, right? She had him ripped in half, and Tiffany is under the guise of the woman, the witch, whatever she is. So that was bizarre. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's sexuality. Um, there's a lot of dismembering of people. It's just so bonkers. Could you imagine if a Star Wars movie was like this? Imagine if you found any excuse to put this much gore in a Star Wars movie. People would be stunned. They'd be like, "What is this shit? Like, what is this?" Like, "Oh, it's the creature. It's the creature from Saw Gerrera's pit. It dissects people and just like tears them inside out." It's like, ugh. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of just beyond. This is what hell looks like, right? So yeah, so now I'm gonna give a score for this. I'll give it a solid A. I can't give it an A plus. The plot's not that deep, and yet so much is happening in there. It's just so great to see everybody go through hell. Um, the blonde girl opens the doorway to hell. People are going and people are dying and shit in there. Okay, it's not a fun trip to hell. It is not fun. Uh, a lot of like endless corridors, turning, twisting paths in the maze, and you find like desires and gluttony and lust and pride and all this dark shit. Like you just see the worst of things. People are being pulled apart by chains and probed and turned into pinheads, and it's just so gross. There's a not a post credits scene, but there's a post story scene before we get to the credits, and it's just a lot of gory, weird shit that doesn't matter. So before you check your mattress and make sure it doesn't have any blood in it. So yeah, that's it. Solid A. Can't give it an A plus. I would give it an A plus if there was more, if there were more characters to add more depth to that world. But there you go. Um, we're gonna go to goth metal lore for Tuesday, and I would say Tuesday we'll look at some art, something simple.